All right, in today's lab, we're going to use FlowLab to make a very cool sort of experiment where we see the enemies pursuing our player and shooting at them. How awful is that? So here we have an example of what we're going to build, and random shooting by the enemy really makes the game a little more challenging. There's ways to make it a little bit more survivable by changing the timing and what have you. But anyways, that's what we're going to build right now, and let's get started. So go ahead and make a new game for this in my games, and let's go edit the game, of course. Use empty project, click OK. We're going to name this thing. So name the settings. In settings, we're going to call this well, now I can't remember what we're going to call this. We're going to call this the point at lab. Okay, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. So let's go for 12 by 12, and this is an important number because it determines sort of our scrolling mathematics. Let's also change the background to something kind of dark bluish, so it's like space. Yes, space, the final frontier. There we have it. So now we have that, and we're going to import a couple of objects. So the first object we're going to create is our player object. So let's choose player. We're going to go edit the sprite, and we're going to go upload a sprite. So I've got some sprites stashed here, and I'm going to have these available for you in the exercise. So as you're doing this, you may already have these somewhere, but go ahead and re-download them if you want to. And OK. And there's a few things that we need to be able to do to make this guy fly around. And there's just a few pieces to this. So we're going to start off with the ship controls. So here's how that works. Let's just go behaviors. And the ship controls are as simple as having a couple keyboards. 3 of them actually. 1, 2, 3. And these are each for different purposes. We are going to have a left, so I change key, and I choose left. Let's see, I think I need to make that also repeating. So it's going to be repeating. And then this one is going to be right, also repeating, so you can hold down the button and make it work. Otherwise you have to sit there and click, 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 which is kind of a drag. The last one is going to be the propulsion. And so we're going to do repeating for this with the up arrow. So we have left, right, and up arrow as listed here. And then we're going to use some basic numbers in place. So logic and math, we need 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. And each of these has its own purpose. So we're going to do -4 here. And we're going to name this, just because it helps to label things, steer left. We're going to go to this one and name it steer right. And this will be -4. And then this one here is going to be +4, and this is propel. I don't know, there's got to be a better name than that, but that's what we got for now. Now, I'm going to use properties, and the steering one's going to get rotation, and we're just going to send this to the add input like this. And then the propel one is going to get a motor. So somewhere in here there's a motor. I may be in the wrong section. I probably am. It's probably in components. Motor, motor, motor. There it is. And the motor, now it's giving me an error message. It says this object is not movable. So to make this work, I'm going to go ahead and connect it like this, but it's not going to work right now. So I say down. It's going to go to the get. And the motor just basically takes that number and increases it. So if you hold down the button, you're actually going to wind up flying along pretty hard. So it just kind of gets things moving. So we have to go back to the physics and choose movable. And we're going to set the forward direction to up. That's important. So take a look at this. Make sure you've got that all set up properly. I will do the same to make sure my example is, no, we need to get rid of affected by gravity. So affected by gravity is off. Forward is up. And movable and solid. Okay, let's go back to our behaviors. And our next behavior we're going to work with, probably not a bad idea if we, let's see, I think I made it movable. It's still telling me the same message. Let's see if I forgot to do that. Let's go back and check. It's movable, so it doesn't know what it's talking about. So let's go ahead and say play on this, and there it works. So it actually is movable, regardless of what this little error is telling me. As long as you made it movable, it should work. One way to check that is disconnect it and go back and replace that just to make that message go away. So now life is good. Alright, and the forward, remember, equates to up because we set that in the physics. Now, not a bad idea if we select all this stuff and bundleize it. So if I use this tool here and select everything and choose bundle, then we've got this custom bundle, and we can name this ship controls. Awesome. All right. Now we're going to get another one. We're going to do ship scrolling. This one is a little bit pain in the neck, but we're going to be okay. We're going to bundleize it later. So we're going to get an always trigger. So this is always going to happen. It's always looking to see, where am I? What am I doing here? And we're going to use the extractor, which is a component. It's a property. Property. Somewhere here is an extractor. There it is. So I need two extractors to get the X and the Y position. In fact, what I'm going to do, because I'm sort of a lazy butt, is I'm going to delete, and I'm going to make all this, and then I'm going to copy it, because that's just efficient. So I'm going to get two filters from Logic and Math, 1, 2, and those are just checking the position. So if it gets this X, and we send that to the N on both of these, we want to find out if it's greater than or less than our area. Now remember, we made our area 12 grids wide. Now I'm going to have to do the math all over again for this, but 12 grids wide, if I get my calculator, 12 times 32 is 384. Okay, so if it's greater than 384, then we're going to do something. If it's less than 0, we're going to set this to less than 0, and that's just going to determine the left and right boundaries of the game. And we're going to say if that's true, then we need to switch these to a number. So two numbers, well, 0 and a 384. So if it's less than 0, we're going to reset it to 384, and we should label this right side, and this one's left side. And I don't think I can label this one. You could actually put a note on here. So if I open this up again, go to note, I can write in here past right side. So if it gets past the right side, we're going to go to the left side. If it gets past the left side, it's going to go to the right. So now we can see if that's true, then we are going to send this to the get. Then if this one is true, we're going to send that to the get. So what that does is it winds up taking this and sending it to the object's properties for position. And this is the X. X. There we go. So that's should work. So I'm going to go ahead and test that in this game. So I'm going to rotate. Apparently it's not working. Not sure why it's not working. My ship controls should be working. So if I say OK, oops, I just clicked the wrong button. Let's go back to OK here. Alright, so that works. But I'm noticing the rotation's not working. That's bad. So let me go back and see what I did wrong on my rotations. Behavior, ship controls. Ah, it's not connected, so my steering isn't connected. How silly of me. So we're going to say, with this, I think we're going to go to the get on both of these. So now it should work. So now it should steer, and it totally does. And if it flies off the left, it comes in the right. And if it does the same thing on the other side, it's gone now because it went out the top. So we know that this works now. So we can take this, having made that work, and now I said earlier I was going to cheat and make this faster, easier, better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces, I'm going to copy them, and then rename them, because that's just like, why do that over again if I don't have to? So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, and it's right on top of itself. So all that I have to do is change this to Y. And let's see, this is going to go to Y instead also. And I can change these labels to top and bottom. You sort of get the idea. So let's test that now and connect it. So now it's going to scroll top and bottom. So as I blast straight up, flies through, it goes out the left side. Okay, so that's cool. Now we're going to use just the sort of little catch and mouse, catch and avoid type thing with somebody who's after us. So let's see what else I have to add. I got scrolling, I've got ship controls, and let's go ahead and add a shot here. So if I go back here and I say let's make a little bullet, a little laser beam, I'm going to call this P shot. And for the P shot, it could actually, we can use this for either shot we want, but it's nice to differentiate them. So let's let's go ahead and I guess delete everything. And you sort of have to be visual about this and try to figure out where is the middle. And what's kind of nice sometimes is if you go ahead and get some yellow and add that in there, it kind of makes it look like it's moving when it's flying through there, which it is moving, but now it's going to be like, right? Oh, good. I did a nice job on that. So this one is going to say edit. And the behavior for this, oh, before I can edit that, I need to say physics, and up is the forward direction. We also need to kill the gravity on it, otherwise it's going to sink every time. Back to here. Just to review, double check this before I fly on. Sometimes I go too fast. All right, properties. The behavior is going to say always, and the always is going to say let's get a logic and math and propel the shot. Say we do it at 12. I don't know. I'm guessing here. And so we go to here, and we're going to send that getter to the properties for, not animation, sorry, for velocity. Delete. Okay. So this one is going to go forward, and we already set the forward to up. So now if we go back to our ship, we can set that. We can actually test it real quick, just see that should move, and then it does. Happy enough with the speed. All right, get back to the ship, open the behaviors, and we're going to add. Oh, let's bundle this. So we already got one bundle. Let's select all this just to clean up our workspace a little bit, and we're going to bundle this, and we can name it and call this scrolling. Now you may already have one of those stashed in your behaviors to the left, so check that, and you may or may not be able to save yourself some work. All right, the next thing we're going to add into place is the shooting. And this one's so small we don't really need a bundle for it, so I'm just going to do a keyboard input. And I'm going to set this to spacebar. And OK. And it's not going to be repeating, not repeating. Okay. And what's going to happen there is we're going to use the emitter, which is in components. Emitter, somewhere. Components, there it is. Haha. And we say emit. We must tell it what to emit. We're going to choose the player shot. We're going to rotate it because as our ship rotates, we want to rotate its position so it goes forward. And let's say we expired after 15. 1.5 seconds is what that is. So now we test it. Ship flies. And shooting works. Okay, there are ways to restrict the timing of that, but for now we're going to go with that. Now the next thing I'm going to make is I'm going to make an enemy. And I know we should all avoid making enemies, but I'm going to make one anyways. So I'm going to open up new. I'm going to call this NPC1. And there are ways of making these things spawn automatically in different places. We're going to stick to just leaving them on the screen. And we're going to try to give him the same scrolling capabilities that the other guy has. So let's see, I got this. We're going to open it up. We're going to upload an enemy type. Sure, that'll work. This guy's pointing down. So if I go back and I set the physics, I want to set his physics to movable, not affected by gravity, otherwise he just sinks, and point him down. Okay, properties, behaviors, and here again we're just going to use some simple stuff in place. I'm going to say we need a trigger of some kind. Always, we're going to always move him using logic and math, number, and from our number we're going to send this forward. Let's move him at like same speed as our player. No advantages. And then we're going to add that to properties for velocity. So now he's going to fly. The only thing we need to add to that is going to go forward. Only thing we need to add to that is the bunch of stuff that we have for scrolling. Now, if you go back to your other player, if you look at bundles, there's ship scrolling. So what you do to get ship scrolling in your bundles is open up your this, go to behaviors, choose scrolling, and check add to menu. So now it's going to be over in your menu, and you can add it to your piece. Otherwise, you have to build it over again. So because I'm a little bit lazy or efficient, whichever way you want to see it, I'm going to go back to behaviors, and I'm going to get from my bundles ship scrolling. And that should show up somewhere. Sometimes when you think you've clicked it, it doesn't show up where you think it should. And it's usually got to do with the fact that things are positioned differently. So there's that. I'm also going to have some random turning happening, I think. Or actually not random. We're not going to randomize it. We're going to have it pursue our player. So it's going to do a thing. Here's the new thing that we haven't talked about yet. We're going to go to a timer. Here's our timer. And from the timer, we're going to set this to however often we want to have it recheck where it is. Let's say 12 for 1.2. Let's repeat forever. Oh, that was the wrong number. What did I do there? Repeat. No, I don't want to repeat there. Sorry, that was the wrong place. Put this 12 here. So it's going to, that's the amount of delay. So I say OK on this. And then what it's going to do is it's going to get the position of the player. Now this part is a little bit weird, and it's taken me a while to figure out how to work it. But the extractor can not only get the XY position of self, but can also get something else. So I'm going to use other object. But the thing is, if you don't select, like you get the type, and that's important. We're going to use this to find the player, but we also need to choose the object. If you don't choose the object also, it will not work. It's very frustrating. I've been messing with that for a long time, and I've only just figured that out. So I'm going to choose Y for this one. Y. There we go, because we like you. So other object is again going to be player. And again, you still have to choose object 1. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And if we send that to the point at, which is a component, I think. Components, it's a little finger. There we go, point at. So we use that to point at our player. So here's our X, or here's our Y. And so now it's going to always be flying at the player. So let's try that out. So as we fly, there he goes. He's after us. He's after me. He's chasing me. I have to get away. And the only thing you can still add is shooting and making him blow up. So the shooting works like this. It's actually quite quick. It's interesting in a certain way. So I'm going to move these around. And the piece here is I'm going to get another timer. And I'm also going to get a proximity. So I've got 2 triggers. And the first proximity is going to find how close is this object to the player. And I'm going to increase the distance on this. I'm going to go with like 64 or 96. And that will show me how big an area I have to work with. Sorry about that. And so I got the circle. I think it's a little bigger. I'm going to stick with 96. So it says 96 pixels out from that player. It's looking for the player. So I got this. Let's see. So I am going to add a switch. Now a switch is in logic and math, and it simply helps us determine if something can flow through or not. So we're going to leave it on most of the time, I think. Let's see. No, we need that off. Think. We're going to send the X and Y to the in. And the timer, let's see, so it's shooting, it's opening the switch, so it's off most of the time, and it's going to turn the switch on when it's close to the player. And we use the on timer here, and then when it fires, we're going to turn it off. So it's only going to be open for a little bit of time once the player's nearby. And then we're going to say emitter, and we can use the same bullet for this one. So send this to emit, and object to emit is going to be the player shot. So just to review, let's rotate the objects also. So all rotate objects, player shot. So the way that this works is when the player is nearby, I think I've got that backwards. I think I'm going to set the switch to on. So let's lose those. And send that to, let's see. When the player's nearby, we're going to turn the switch on and shoot bullets occasionally. Every half second. So now, what's going to work is you're going to see shooting at each other. And the nice thing about an emitter is it automatically expires the bullets. Well, it's not working. So I may have that backwards, but it's something in that neighborhood. I'll see you in a few minutes in class.